So comedy action film The Nice Guys, starring Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling, is being re-released on 4K, special limited edition box set, Blu-ray and standard edition as well. We're talking about it. Both of us have never seen this. Neither of us had seen this. Chris is here, and I should say, first of all, before we start talking about movies, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. I'm going to auto-tune this bit.
Are we singing the whole song, really? I mean, you could just... Thank you. Yes, still not quite as old as you, but maybe I'll catch up one day.
You're actually older. We've addressed this before on previous video.
I've still never seen your birth certificate. I've got no actual proof that this is true.
When people say happy birthday, you're meant to be happy on your special day?
I am happy, but as you know, Phil, because you're slightly ahead of me in the age stakes, when you get to our age, there's fairly little to celebrate, to be honest.
Thank you very much for my card as well. It's all about me now. It's not about you anymore. We've moved on.
That's fine. Yeah, now I saw that in the shop and I thought, who do I know who's vegan? And after about 2 hours of walking around some other shops, I was like, oh, I could get it for Phil, couldn't I? And then I was thinking, there's something slightly disingenuous about saying there's slightly more to you than vegan, because in your case, I'm still not really sure what else there is besides the vegan thing. Anyway, to bring this back to the movie, when this first came through, I thought, well, what an amazing synergy this will be, that such nice guys such as you and I will be reviewing a film called The Nice Guys. And here we are talking about it.
If they made a movie about us, it would be a buddy movie, wouldn't it? Yeah, of course.
It probably wouldn't be called The Nice Guys, though, would it? Let's be honest.
We'd be trying to kill each other. So it's set in the late 70s, 1977, although one of the songs they used was 1980. Neither of us had seen it. So where were you in 2016 when this came out? What were you doing?
I am absolutely not giving my age away on a podcast by telling everyone what I was doing in 2016. But what I wasn't doing was watching this film. I was probably sipping very, very strong coffee, wearing all black, sitting in the corner of cafes, pretending to be deeply serious and artistic, which would have meant that a film of this description coming along would have not come across my radar in a positive way. Probably in 2016. What were you doing in 2016?
Well, that's a good point, because I wouldn't have been either. I wouldn't necessarily have chosen this to watch this. Although, in hindsight, looking back at the cast in this movie, Margaret Qualley, of course, recently starred in The Substance. She's very young in this. Russell Crowe, never really been a fan of his. I mean, more so recently, he's been in some really dodgy films, including The Pope's Exorcist, which was one of my least favourite films of last year, if you remember that Christmas video we did.
Obviously, the Russell Crowe high watermark is Gladiator.
Never seen it.
What?
I know, probably one of the most watched movies ever. I've never seen it. It always puts me off when people hype films, or if they're saying it's the best film of the... No, I won't watch it for that reason. And well, of course, it's not really my thing.
Just a little secret here for the viewers, of course, that's exactly why we never give anything 5 stars on here, because that would put everybody off.
I don't know, I've given a few films 5 stars. Oh, Grumpy Jock's next to me hasn't. Even on his birthday, he's never happy.
Look at me now, I'm happy as Larry.
So it's 1977, in Los Angeles. We meet ill-fated private detective and father of one, Holland March, who's Ryan Gosling, who brilliantly plays someone who's very accident-prone, very stupid. He has the misfortune of having a rude introduction to hired heavy Jackson Healy, who is Russell Crowe, punches him in the face, knocks him out. They become an unlikely duo. A young woman, Amelia, who's Margaret Qualley, mysteriously disappears, but they're not the only ones searching for her, because there's a vicious mob on the case too. So they're both trying to find her, and as they do try and find her, they get embroiled in a very dark and violent world. So that's pretty much it. I mean, to be honest, the plot is pretty thin. The running time isn't, because it's about 2 hours. I thought it was a little bit long for what it was.
It sounds exactly like the story of our friendship, except searching for a particular rare Kylie B-side. I mean, let's be honest, it's got violent at times. Fists have been thrown.
You like Ryan Gosling, though, don't you?
Well, like I say, there's been moments where Russell Crowe's been, would have been a poster in the inside of my locker.
Oh, you're so shallow. I'm talking about his acting.
Oh, okay. I mean, look, Ryan Gosling is a fine comedy actor, but I think in 2016 he was still finding his feet a bit, to be honest. It was kind of evident. It's really interesting to watch this film now, having seen his career since then, because you kind of know that that's where this this film and other films from that period kind of took him. They've taken him on a journey to end up where he is.
Did Drive come out before this? It must have been before.
Yes.
I think Drive was like 2015. I'm going to look it up. 2011. There you go. So it's five years before.
Okay. So he puts in a fine performance. I've got to say, Russell Crowe, I always find a bit like a large lump of dough on the screen. He just doesn't really act at all.
No, I know. I find him a little bit cringe. That sounds really mean to say that, but I find him... But I don't know if that's because I've found out a bit about what he's like in real life as a person. He's not...
But it sort of comes over on the screen, doesn't it? And this is why I say he doesn't... I don't feel him acting particularly hard, because he seems like Russell Crowe a lot of the time. And, again, I don't feel it's a particularly constructive criticism necessarily, but he just somehow, very often his accent slips. Not particularly in this film, but, Aussie Russell Crowe, sort of pseudo-Aussie American Russell Crowe pops up in all sorts of films where he just can't be asked to do the accent, it sounds like.
Yeah, and I think if you're really paying attention to how somebody's speaking, like with their accent, it does put you off a little bit, and it takes you out of the character, because you're meant to believe that they are genuinely American or whatever.
Yeah, so I just find him a bit sort of sloppy, really. And I think there's something about his character in this film which I didn't really like. I kept waiting for him to kind of warm up a bit or cool down, or whichever temperature you want to go. But I wanted him to become a bit more human and a bit nicer, and it didn't really happen, to be honest.
Are you meant to like him, though? Because, yes, I suppose to a certain extent they've got good... I felt they had good chemistry together, but it's like chalk and cheese, isn't it? You're meant to have one that's one type of character and one that's not. And I think Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling, because Ryan Gosling, like I said, his character was very accident prone. There's one scene where he's breaking into an apartment and he puts his hand through the glass and his arm is just shredded. And that was, I thought that was proper lol-tastic. There were loads of funny moments in this.
The continuation to that, of course, is that he then sees his own blood, feels a bit faint, and falls down the stairs onto a big pile of bins and trash cans and makes a load of noise. So his whole, thing about... But one of the things that I really got from this film was just how slapstick it was. That kind of stuff happens a lot, kind of silly stuff. And you've got to be in the mood for that. And maybe when I sat down to watch this last week, I wasn't in slapstick mood, which I know you would find hard to believe. But,
I didn't want to say anything. It reminded me a little bit of Paul Feig, Paul Feig's Spy with Melissa McCarthy. It's not so slapstick as that, but the deadpan humour, sarcastic humour reminded me a little bit of that, and it was tonally, I thought it was quite similar. And I love Spy. I could watch that on a loop because I think it's so funny.
As somebody who absolutely loves like Naked Gun films,
it was very similar to that, I thought.
Love all those kind of films, but the difference is that those films are so knowingly slapstick. They camp it up. They turn it up. This was sort of kitschy because of the time it was set, but the sort of the violence that's in it and the humour and all that kind of stuff is a little bit kitschy as well. And I think it was a little bit too arch. It was a bit too sort of knowing, which meant that it couldn't be as funny and as free as something like The Naked Gun, some kind of stupid classic like that. It was just not quite stupid enough for that. It wasn't, silly.
Because about halfway in, the tone of it did shift, and it became a bit, or it was trying to be a little bit more serious. It never really went totally serious, but not lost interest, but my attention did wane a little bit halfway in, because I didn't want it to be that kind of film. I didn't want it to be too sentimental and too serious. But I suppose, you've got to build that story, and you've got to make it to a certain extent, even if it is a comedy or action comedy, you've got to make it, about characters.
Yeah, it's interesting you say it's about the characters, what should have been about the characters, because I didn't see enough development in those characters. It was like within 10 minutes, you know who those people are. And they just didn't really go on that much of a journey for me, to be honest. And I was a bit like, oh, okay, they're still the same people at the end that they were at the beginning, and whatever.
Did you laugh at all?
I can laugh.
Do you laugh? Are you able to laugh?
I have laughed In the past, I have laughed at the terrible things that you make between records at the Royal Vauxhall tab, and I've always laughed at those, you know I do. In a way, it was a really silly and stupid film, and I love silly and stupid films, but it kind of wasn't silly and stupid enough to push it into, like, literally laughing out loud. I mean, I may have cracked a smile a few times, yes, but I didn't laugh, no. Hysterically.
I thought some of it was... I mean, I thought a lot of it was funny. I kind of wanted more of that. Like I say, it did dip.
Yeah.
And because it's 2 hours, you kind of do want a bit more action. I suppose we did have a lot of action at the end, and it built up to that. And yes, you know, you can't always have action all the way through unless you've got an action movie where it does exhaust you a little bit. And I'm glad it wasn't completely action. Let's move on to the music then. So, obviously it's set in 1977. I mean, you're a big 70s fan. You love a bit of disco. We had Earth, Wind and Fire. And then we had... Get Down On It by Kool and the Gang, which was 1980. I'm sure that was in there, in that soundtrack.
I've gone really blurry. Can you see how
yeah,
blurry
you have,
it is?
yeah.
Having to give you a piece of footage where I'm really blurry and say amazingly witty things. I'm
Some
waiting.
people might like that.
Why has it gone... What's happened? Why has it gone shit?
Bang the computer. Tip it on its side.
Exactly.
Tip you on its side.
It's always a tricky thing, isn't it? Because nerds like you and me will always... see those kind of things and go, oh, I haven't done that research very well. And, I like to just step back sometimes and go, okay, this is about mood, isn't it? And it's about setting a mood, and it's about what's right for the film, and it may not be technically totally accurate, a bit like story gaps, sometimes you just have to excuse it, don't you? But it does annoy the likes of you and I, and it will annoy other viewers as well, because, people do notice details. Not everybody will, but quite a lot of people notice details, and you kind of have to get them right, really, don't you? Maybe, I mean, neither of us saw the original film, but it's possible they used a different song and they had to do a sub on it because of the...
That is possible. Yeah, that's true, actually, because I think that's something that will be overlooked, because you won't always know the reason for that. I mean, it could be covering up something... like you say, it could be...
Maybe they had a different song and they couldn't get the rights for that or something.
Yeah.
But I think there is... I've got my notes in front of me here, and the word that is jumping out at me from my notes is boobs.
Mermaid boobs.
Just because... and I chose that word very specifically. I didn't write breasts, I didn't write tits, I didn't write chest. Because... they are boobs in the context of this film, because it's a kind of slightly slapsticky, silly, kitschy film. They're boobs, but there's quite a lot of them. And again, another reason to switch off a gay film reviewer is to show you lots of female boobs. In 2025, 9 years after this film was made, it's we're not in the same world, and having screens full of boobs for 2 hours isn't. I exaggerate.
So they go to a party and it's like a. Well, it's like a porn movie party, isn't it? Essentially. So
I've never been to one. I wouldn't know.
Well, porn movie parties, you've got to have boobs.
Philip, you're the expert in porn movie parties suddenly.
That was part of the gag, wasn't it? Because they had mermaids swimming in this big tank that obviously everyone could see. So it was like, fishbowl. Essentially, people were seeing these beautiful mermaids swimming around.
Okay, go on.
Well, there's a scene where Ryan Gosling is seen swimming after them, which I thought was quite funny, because his response to that, when questioned by Russell Crowe's character, was, you're not doing your job, you're kind of lusting after women. And his response was, I was following them for questioning, which I thought was, I mean, the writing I thought was really smart and really witty.
I just felt it was a little bit dated in that regard.
Interesting, because this is 14 years old, so it's quite a long time ago. It didn't actually feel that. Was it 2016? Oh, okay, so 9 years old.
That's why I keep saying 9 years. I keep saying 9 years ago.
Sorry, I'm not listening. It's going in one ear out here.
Is somebody speaking? No, just Phil. Anyway, look, it's I got the feeling I wasn't the target market for this film fairly early on when the punches started flying, the humour was a bit silly, and then the boobs all arrived, and I was like, yeah, this wasn't for me, really, was it? But, that said, you clearly got a lot more out of it. I mean, it's kind of the difference between Guardian readers and Daily Mail readers, really, isn't it? That's the difference here, I suppose.
See,
You didn't even see what I did there, did you? No, there was a reason that we chose to watch this film film. We saw the cast and we saw it was a Redux, and we were like, okay, well, this will be interesting. And you don't know until you try, do you? So it looked really good, and I think quite a lot of our audience will really enjoy it. Actually, I didn't enjoy it as much as you did, but that's these reviews are much more fun when I'm right and you're wrong. That's basically what happens. Phil Marriott is speechless, everybody. Watch.
I should say there are quite a few special features on this new re-release. It's ultra high definition, 4K. I mean, it does look good. Picture's great. Were you aware of what the director's made? I mean, the director's 63 now, so he would have been 54. He would have been our age when he made this movie. But he's made Lethal Weapon. He was the writer of Lethal Weapon back in 87. Monster Squad, Lethal Weapon 2. He directed Iron Man 3. To be honest, those movies, Last Action Hero, those movies wouldn't be what I would jump at the chance of seeing. Very successful films, but they wouldn't be. I wouldn't choose to see those, to be honest. I mean, I haven't seen most of those films.
Like, exactly, quite. He's not a director I follow particularly. This isn't a genre of films I follow particularly. Our interest was piqued by this. I've got to be honest about that. We did want to watch this. I wanted to watch this, and I'm glad I did. It's a fun film within a certain context. Within a certain sort of subgenre. It's a certain type of film, and I like a buddy film. They're all good. Unfortunately, none of the pieces quite added up to make it a great whole portrait either.
More of those special features: audio commentary with Shane Black, director, co-writer Antti Bagarozzi, and writer Priscilla Page. We've got loads of interviews, co-producer Ethan Irwin, trailers, archive featurettes. So yeah, there's lots of stuff there. Art cards as well in the collector's edition.
I think this is one of those films that I think if you loved when it came out, and it's a film that you are fond of, those kind of people are going to go mad for this, because it's a really great package of stuff, as you say. All those extra features and stuff are all brilliant. It's beautifully presented and beautifully sort of put together, the whole packaging, all that kind of stuff. The remastering is beautiful. It looks like the film was made yesterday. It's really, really crisp. The 4K stuff really works. It looks incredible. So I think if you're a fan of this film, you're going to be a super fan of this film. Is it going to attract a new audience? I think people will try it. My suspicion is that the people who already love it are the ones who are just going to love it more.
Yeah, I mean, it was well received at the time. Critically acclaimed. I mean, over 90%, I think, on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, you can't always go by Rotten Tomatoes, really. It's 3 stars for me. I did enjoy it. I mean, I'm guessing yours is going to be lower, your star rating?
I knew what you were going to say. I knew you were going to say 3. I just knew you were going to say 3. And yes, you know that I am going to say 2.
Oh, we forgot to mention Kim Basinger. How do you pronounce her name? Because there's 2 pronunciations. Basinger, I think, isn't it? She's in it.
I was getting it wrong.
Well,
she is in it. And she's
blink
good.
and you'll miss it.
Really like
Yeah. I mean, you don't really see her. I mean, her on-screen time is probably a minute, isn't it?
Yeah, she's not in it for very much. When she is, she's proper Kim Basinger, isn't she? She does what you'd expect her to do. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know about you, but I didn't get a chance to see any of the special features, so we're going to be posting stuff on Instagram once we get around to seeing some of those bits and pieces. Posting the details of those and an unboxing. Thanks for watching, everyone. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you on the next one.